Later show up at Grey Gravel Co. to help the others take on Grey-Man, the TFC team. When Medic is attacked by the TFC Heavy, the TF2 Heavy rescues him and basically challenges the TFC Heavy to a fair fight. The TFC Heavy pulls out a gun and shoots Medic. Heavy doesn't take that very well, so they fight. The TF2 team eventually wins, the TFC team is defeated, and as always, that's it for them, unfortunately. And that was, more or less, the complete history of the Heavy Weapons guy in Team Fortress 2. As usual, you can leave a comment on who you want to see next. I was originally planning on doing a non-playable character after this, but I know that one of the highest liked comments on the previous one of these suggested that I do all of the classes first, so I'll probably do it like that. So you can comment any character, but it'll mostly be down to Soldier, Pyro, Demo, Engineer, and Spy.
When I found that job on Indeed, I felt like I had another chance at a clean slate.
It's the treasury. Yes, sir, we believe it is.
I know you won't fail us. Pre-order now.
This is the Demo Man. Real name, Tavish Finnegan the Groot. John. House cleaning? Okay. Yeah, it's house cleaning apparently. Yeah, I know Demo Man cleaned Rasmus's library for him when he was 7 years old, but maybe it's time to update that resume, buddy. And Demo Man's even featured on Alcohol Volumes 10 House Cleaners That Won't Kill You edition. So, I mean, he must know something about house cleaning. Though in the context of the original trailer, I assume it's either a weird way of bringing up Demo's ability to clear areas with explosives, or maybe just a joke. But most of the stuff from those old trailers isn't exactly relevant anymore. Find me a time Demo actually said, boom, boom, baby, do it. You can. That's never happened. So anyway, if you haven't caught on by now, or haven't read the title of the video, this is a complete history of the Demo Man so far. And like we usually do, we'll start with the concept art, where there's actually a lot to say this time. In the early development of Team Fortress 2, as the game shifted focus from a realistic modern style to a richer, cartoony one, Demo Man underwent some of the most major changes when it comes to its earliest concept art. Most obviously, he completely changed races. The dev team would come up with personalities, basic backstories, and nationalities for the classes in order to help the artists conceptualize the character. For Demo Man, they planned to go with a more stereotypical angry Scotsman vibe, showing Demo Man with pale skin and red hair. As they began the 3D model, they started to feel that the character was a little bit too generic. He was changed from white to black and partially redesigned in order to both make the character more distinguishable from other classes in the actual game, but also to put a twist on a character that started out as somewhat cliche. And thus, our favorite black Scottish Cyclops was born. Demo Man may have undergone some of the most significant changes when it comes to his earliest concept art to his final design, but through every single one of them, he does have an eye patch. They always knew he couldn't have two eyes. Though you can also see in later designs, it begins to shift more towards him having body armor on his upper body and making it darker and bulkier, allowing it to be more distinguished from the other characters. It's really interesting stuff. Listen, you can also see in later designs, it begins to shift more towards him having body armor on his upper body and making it darker and bulkier, allowing it to be more distinguished from the other characters. It's really interesting stuff. At least I think so. The Demo Man is voiced by Gary Schwartz, who also voices Heavy. And I talked about him and his work a little bit more in the Heavy history video. So if you're interested at all, you can take a look at that if you haven't already. But yeah, moving on. While Sniper and Spy had their original character descriptions completely changed, Demo Man had his altered later on. His original bio was a fierce temper, a fascination with all things explosive, and a terrible plan to kill the Loch Ness Monster cost the 6-year-old Demo Man both natural parents. But it was later changed to his original set of adoptive parents. This is because Demo Man's real parents actually appeared in the first multi-page TF2 comic. They were first seen in War from 2009. However, Demo Man's father is only seen in pictures, as it's made pretty clear that he's been dead. But going back to that character description for a second, the original one would make it seem that Demo Man accidentally caused the death of his parents. But with the updated one, I guess it could be either that he accidentally caused their death, or that they put him up for adoption after his attempt to kill Loch Ness Monster. Though according to this voice line, he may have actually succeeded in killing him.
I killed the brother of Loch Ness Monster. Hey, the afraid of 6 we mad.
adopted, lost his original adoptive family, and then was then sent to the Crypt Grammar School for Orphans near Underfell, Scotland. After word of his proficiency with explosive spreads, M.E.G.A.L.O.V.A.N.I.A biological parents show up at the school and explain to him the long-standing, cruel, and completely unnecessary Highland demolition tradition of abandoning their children until they begin to hone their skill with explosives. They re-adopt him and train him to become a M.E.G.A.L.O.V.A.N. During the main events of the game, M.E.G.A.L.O.V.A.N.'s mom leads him in a mansion in New Mexico. His mom thinks of him as somewhat of a slacker because he doesn't work as many jobs as his father, who apparently had 26 jobs and walks 15 miles in the rain to blow up the community. Critic. But according to the war comic, M.E.G.A.L.O.V.A.N. makes $5 million a year, which, adjusted for inflation, equals roughly $36 million in today's money. And according to the description of the liquor locker, he invests it in gold, which he then spends on rare cask-aged liquors, which he then usually drinks. Both of M.E.G.A.L.O.V.A.N.'s parents are lying, with message proclaiming that no M.E.G.A.L.O.V.A.N. worthy souls ever had lied as good as Bernie. There aren't really any definitive hints towards M.E.G.A.L.O.V.A.N.'s age, but I'm guessing that this means that he's over 30 and that she just doesn't think he's smart enough. I really doubt that he's younger, but if I had to guess, I'd say he's maybe late 30s or early 40s, just based on looks, but M.E.G.A.L.O.V.A.N.'s bio makes it seem like he lost his sight while he was at the school. But this actually happened after he was reunited with his parents. On Halloween night, his mom sent him to Rasmus's castle, where his eye was haunted by the M.E.G.A.L.O.V.A.N. and had to be removed. In the comic The Naked and the Dead, we see M.E.G.A.L.O.V.A.N. ask Medic if he can bring a man back to life, but not grow him another eye. Medic explains to him that he can, and that he has done it at least 8 times. It functions normally every time until Halloween, where it then tries to attack him. Medic concludes that the eye socket is haunted, and scooped out part of M.E.G.A.L.O.V.A.N.'s brain so he would stop asking for new eyes. Brain scooping is not an exact science, but M.E.G.A.L.O.V.A.N.'s new eye becoming haunted 8 times would seem to suggest that he and Medic have been working together for 8 years. The Naked and the Dead takes place in 1972. As far as we know, this is the first that didn't start fighting the Rebel Wars until 1968. So either they were hired by Red and Blue earlier than we thought, possibly Medic and Demo worked together before fighting the Rebel Wars. Though I think the most likely answer is probably that the writers just didn't think about it. But I mean, you can come up with ways to make it work if you really wanted to. It's not really that important. So the whole war update revolved around the Red M.E.G.A.L.O.V.A.N. and the Blue Soldier becoming friends, and the administrator forced men to turn on one another. What's sort of interesting is that this is one of the very few times when the class's team color actually has an important effect on the story. For the most part, the comics kind of blend both teams into one. There isn't usually a red scout and a blue scout, for example. It's just a scout. That's the character. But in the war comic, the administrator fears that if the two mercenaries are friends, they may begin to talk about work, and then begin to talk about work, they might talk about work. Though I do think this could be needing to be on different teams. I mean, it kind of worked in the Heavy Fire. They're both red, so, you know. Even though the whole war update focused on the fight between Soldier and M.E.G.A.L.O.V.A.N., I used to explain to reveal that they were actually still friends, and we're just doing it for show.
Dominated! Are you a good man? Everybody, I don't like this man. He's a soulless monster. It's just a man. Dominated! But you're still my best mate. Dominated! But I treasure your friendship. Dominated! You are okay though, right, lad? My greatest enemy is dead! We should be friends forever, eh?
But these were unused at the time, so it's not entirely clear. And in that war update, M.E.G.A.L.O.V.A.N. got the Islander, which also has a little bit of a story itself. It was made from pattern-welded Damascus steel and forged for generations in the bowels of captured English kings. Oh, and it's haunted. And it talks in the comics, saying more than just heads. But the Islander can also be seen on a table in Plutarch Man's office in the comic Loose Cannon. That part of the comic takes place in 1890. So sometime between then and the 1960s, it went from Plutarch's possession to the American monkey nut Kubi Joe, who would have used it to fight off the Soviet monkey nut Vladimir Bananas. It was acquired by M.E.G.A.L.O.V.A.N. after Kubi Joe's tragic death in that rocket crash. It was originally going to be destroyed in an attempt to cover up M.E.G.A.L.O.V.'s involvement in that crash, but was given to Miss Pauling and the administrator when they were looking for incentives for M.E.G.A.L.O.V.A.N. to fight Soldier. And it was obviously then given to M.E.G.A.L.O.V.A.N. But enough of that. It's now time for a timeline of all the important events in the M.E.G.A.L.O.V.A.N.'s life that we know of. some point, Tavish Finnegan de Groot is born in Ullapool, Scotland. He's put up for adoption by his biological parents and later adopted by another couple. At the age of 6, Delman planned and apparently succeeded in killing the Loch Ness Monster. His adoptive parents were either accidentally killed in that plan or put him back up for adoption after it. Delman ends up in the Crypt Grammar School for Orphans. Not long after this, Demo's real parents arrive at the school, re-adopt him, and begin training him to become a demolition man. At the age of 7, Delman's mother sends him out on Halloween night in search of jobs. He finds Marasmus, and Marasmus has him clean his library. Demoman opens the Abominomicon, it haunts his left eye, and Marasmus has to take it out. And at some point, Demoman's father dies. Around 1968, the Demoman, along with 8 other mercenaries, are hired by Red and Blue to fight the gravel wars in New Mexico. Demoman purchases a mansion in New Mexico and moves his mother there so that he can take care of her. The Red Demo and the Blue Soldier meet at a projectile weapons expo and become friends. They're tricked/bribed into fighting against each other by the administrator. And Demoman loses. On Halloween, when Marasmus is angered by the soldier, he summons Demoman's haunted eye to attack the mercenaries. In 1971, Medican engineers discover that the mercenaries may be getting tumors as a result of teleportation. Demoman is getting beer. Later that year, Redman and Blutarch Man are killed by Greyman, leaving the mercenaries out of a job. Saxon Hale then hires Demoman and the team to defend Mango from Greyman's robots. In 1972, Greyman takes control of Mango. The team disbands, and for the next 6 months, Demoman stays home and gets fed. Soldier and Miss show up at Demo's mansion and tell him that they're getting the team back together. They begin the search for the rest of the mercenaries. Demoman and Soldier disguise themselves in civilian clothing and head to the city of Newport in an attempt to rescue scouts far from being hanged. Soldier blows their cover at the trial, and they're brought to the gallows to be hanged as well. They're freed, and Demoman spy Miss Calling head to Australia to find Sniper. They get the Sniper, and he, Demo, Miss Calling, Spy, Pyro, John, and Soldier head to New Zealand to find any remaining Australian. But the team launches glass of mercenaries, and Medic show up and capture them. They're brought back to Great Gravel-Go. They escape, and the TFC Heavy sends Greyman's blood-sucking robots to kill them. The robots get alcohol poisoning from Demoman's blood. The other mercenaries show up, and they fight off Grey's robots with the TFC team. Demoman and the TFC team eventually win, and that's where it ends for them. So, that was the complete show up, and they fight off Grey's robots with the TFC team. Demoman and the TFC team eventually win, and that's where it ends for them. So, that was the complete history. So this time, it doesn't matter.
If there is one thing I love, it's beta content and thinking about what could have been. Especially when it comes to Valve titles, because more often they spam entire projects because they weren't very happy with them. Like the Half-Life 2 beta or even Team Fortress 2, all of which were almost entirely different in some ways. It also sucks though, because you know how much you wanted that new Left 4 Dead on Modern 3? It's possible they already almost finished them, and then they scrapped them because they didn't like them. Yes, well, Pete. Oh, while working on that Team Fortress video, I got an idea. Why not make more videos showcasing unfinished leaked or even scrapped DLC content? And I don't mean stuff like, hey, did you know that here's a grenade in it at some point? But actually interesting things that you may have never even heard about. That's why I decided to introduce a series called What TF2 Could Have Been, in which I explore all kinds of scrapped, unfinished, and even leaked content that never made it into the final game. Just to see what the game could have been had they actually added it. And considering last time I showed you a Leaks Before this short, I figured I'd continue that trend and show you the versions of M.E.G.A.L.O.V.A.N.I.A that we never got. I mean, isn't it a perfect place to start? Everyone knows and loves M.E.G.A.L.O.V.A.N.I.A. It's the most watched Meet the Team trailer and actually the most watched Team Fortress 2 video of all time with over 54 million views. There's really a lot of heart in it, quite literally in fact. And of course, it also has its fair share of Easter eggs. For example, the Shield that you can see this falling behind this fence window way before her reveal, or that the hardware and the black lights once Heavy Sun explodes, but goes back to normal once when it gets to one. Or that Spy's head in the fridge is actually a reference to an earlier version of the trailer. Yes, M.E.G.A.L.O.V.A.N.I.A was originally supposed to be completely different from what we actually got. Instead of a more cinematic trailer like in the Spy, it was going to be more of an interview like many of the other shows.
like, but for the video's sake, I'll quickly summarize it. Medic returns from vacation on a train, running over soldier and sniper in the process. On the train, he gets interviewed, much like the other classes, about his invention of a M.E.G.A.L.O.V.A.N.I.A. No idea what this was. He explains that saving one person's life meant that others would die instead, because there just wasn't enough time. During an explosion, various chemicals, medkits, charadi, a sandwich, a drop of blood, and some electricity mixed together and created healing as we know it from the game. Using it, Medic was able to revive the heavy impaired Needle, as well as buy his head that he chopped off earlier. See what I was talking about? He then notices that he can actually kill the spy, which gives him an idea to build a minigun in order to turn people into gods. The blog post goes more into depth about the development of these videos, as well as why this is here a trap. Basically, they wanted the trailer to focus more on Medic and less on the weapon. After all, it's called the Medic and not the Medic. It's interesting to see which concepts actually made it into the product, such as Mike's head, the TV, our Medic, and the growing the game. Not really, everyone's got this all right. So we can use the there's even this white shirt, which one of brands did for the Medic after they returned from vacation, like he was still wearing it during the interview. We can even see really high quality versions of the objects Medic used, like M.E.G.A.L.O.V.A.N.I.A, like he was still wearing it during the interview. We can even see really high quality versions of the objects Medic used in the video, like the needle called M.E.G.A.L.O.V.A.N.I.A, as well as M.E.G.A.L.O.V.A.N.I.A, gel mixer that also hid an expiration date by weight, and something called spy head contraption. It seems they were really bent on this original idea of explaining how the Medic uses gel to heal people before scrapping it entirely. This also means that there was actually way more work behind those SLMs than what you can see. Wow, German Peter, you say, are you sure your fingers don't hurt from those 5 minutes of Google searching? To which I reply, hey, it was only 4 minutes and the leaked files were sent to me. But if you're still unsatisfied, and I'd be surprised if you were, then I can keep going. Also, don't have a light on public. Well, apparently, in the same leaked files, there were also a couple still of yet another version of the Medic. The blog. Mercenaries in some sort of cellar instead of a hospital room or anything. There's the demo with his injuries from the final trailer, plus some bullet holes, and maybe even with his wheelchair, which would explain why he's so low in frame. There's also heavy pressing his leg against his bruises, scarred with almost the same injuries and bandages from the final version, plus a black eye and crutches, as well as his missing leg on the table. And finally, Soldier with some casts and bandages as well. It's interesting to note that none of the things I described are actual models or textures, but are just painted on in the image. Oh hey, I didn't know Piper worked at Valve. Considering that Scout and Devil's injuries are pretty much identical to the ones from the final version, I assume that they had already planned something like that very early on. The question, however, is, where on earth does this take place, if not in a hospital? Well, of course, I know the answer, and writing this note genuinely makes me laugh because of incredibly absurd, yet also incredibly fitting in it. If you look at some of the names for the leaked files, you can find out that it apparently took place in a brewery, Medic's brewery, and he was certified brewmaster. This was of brewing contraptions, a poster for Medic brew, bar stools, beer steins, and of course the brewmaster certification. Yeah, remember that iconic scene, and that's really iconic, and not because of iconic, in the hospital with Heavy on the operating table? Then it was originally supposed to take place in the freaking Duff Brewery. It just looked silly enough to work. But isn't it weird how detached this is from the original draft and the final trailer? I mean, what's the connection here? What do you go from making gods to making beer? Well, I have an idea what would
Absolutely.
video game I've ever played. The Simpsons skateboarding is not good, and I don't need no GameSpot or IGN score to tell me that. I remember being a little kid, seeing this game in games shop with Game Kid. I remember seeing this thing and being like, no way, there's another Simpsons game on the PS2. How did I not know about this? So he picks up the game, and I remember getting slapping that thing in my PS2 and just having an absolutely horrible time. Now you gotta understand, I got this game when I was quite young, maybe 7 or 8 years old, so I hadn't yet developed the ability to identify when a piece of entertainment was poor quality. You know, so I've been playing the game and I wouldn't be enjoying myself, but instead of coming to the conclusion that the game itself was bad, I thought there was something wrong with me and getting bored and frustrated with it. I would give up after like half an hour thinking, man, I really just don't get it. Why? Then I'd pick up a month later thinking, hopefully I get it this time, but not. Same thing. After half an hour, I'd be like, nope, I'm done. Maybe in a few years when I'm older, I'll finally like it. And it's funny because, okay, there were 3 games that came out on the PS2 originally. We had Road Rage in 2001, Skateboarding in 2002, and then Hit and Run in 2003. But I played The Simpsons Hit and Run first, followed by Road Rage, and then The Simpsons Skateboarding. So to me, the games only got worse. But if you were to play the games in the order they actually came out, you'd rather look more like, man, wait, what the fuck? Oh, this one's actually alright. But you know, enough trash talking. What specifically about the game is so bad? Now, the Simpsons theme is a classic, and I'm all for any kind of reimagining. You know, I've heard the jazz version, I love that. I've heard the Renaissance version, that's pretty good. Hell, I've even heard the Australian version, and that is a bomb. But when you decide to take such a widely recognized tune and turn it into this, that's how I know I'm in for a bad time. And I haven't even pressed start yet.
Witches, they're real. And they hate children.
What would you do? They're nice.
As you do start the game, you get to play as any member of the Simpsons family, apart from Maggie, that is. To be honest, I don't know why they keep leaving her out of these games. She's shown herself to be pretty capable in the past, although upon second thought, it probably wouldn't be such a good idea for this game to portray a baby face planting on the pavement, so never mind. One thing I really wanted to know was why all these characters decided to pick up skateboarding in the first place. You know, if the game was just Bart, then it would have made a lot more sense, but no, you've got Homer, you've got Nelson, you've got Krusty the Clown, what? And there's absolutely no explanation given within the game as to what's going on. I mean, at least The Simpsons Road Rage made an attempt. The cutscene at the start